Namaste. This is Vinayak back for you with a new chapter for class 9 CBSE in the history part, that is rise of nationalism and rise of Hitler. So I'm going to share the screen with a PPT by which you can understand in a better manner. So before starting that, we need to know few things. As we know already, we studied in various chapters about the imperialism, and then how the Europeans took control over the African and Asian countries, and how the nationalism started in Europe in the 19th century. Like, the base was the French Revolution, that is in the 18th century itself, and later how it gave effects to the other countries of the Europe. And in the previous uh, chapter, we studied about rise of socialism and the Russian Revolution, and then lot of changes came in Europe, by which there was unrest, we can say. And other than that, and other than the unrest also, there came many changes. And then, as now we are going to study about a country called Germany. So Germany already, when First World War was there, and when First World War happened, there were a lot of disasters. Then Germany lost Ottoman Empire. Today, Ottoman Empire means major part of Turkey. It was an Islamic nation, a very large, a very big empire with the Islamic emperor, for whom people used to call as Khalifa. So, after Ottoman Emperor lost, along with Germany and few more countries, what happened? Emperor had to sign a very humiliating treaty with the other powers who won the war, that is America, Russia, France, and England. And with them, he had to sign a humiliating treaty, and its effects were all seen in all over the world, where there were imperialistic rule, including India. In India also, there was a lot of protest from the Muslims, and the movement, we call it as Khilafat movement. It was started in support of the Ottoman Emperor. So these were the outcomes of World War One. World War One was from 1913 to 1918 almost. So after that, Germany lost, and it had to part its most of the territories to France and England. And then Germany had to pay huge money as war expenses to the countries. And then it lost all its economy, it lost all its income, and many restrictions were put, and they were demilitarized. Demilitarized means they should not have military powers. So all these things were the after effects of World War One. And now we are going to learn after First World War and the Second World War part we are going to learn. So I'm going to share the screen for you now. The chapter name is Nazism and Rise of Hitler. So now birth of Weimar Republic. It's the government which formed by the Germans. They brought like a party or an organization which was called as Weimar Republic. See, Germany fought the First World War, that is 1914 to 1918, along with the Austrian Empire. Austrian Empire was and against the Allies, England, France, and Russia. Germany initially made gains by occupying France and Belgium. Allies won, defeating Germany and the Central Powers in 1918. What happened here? The Central Powers were Germany and its partners, and the Allies means England, France, and Russia. So they fought, and initially they made gains by occupying France and Belgium. Then later it lost, and Allies won the war, defeating Germany. And see, this is the Central Powers: Ottoman Empire, Bulgaria, Austria, Germany were the Central Powers, and Allied forces were France, Belgium, England, Russia, Serbia, right? So these were the countries of Allied forces, including later America also joined here. The defeat of Imperial Germany gave an opportunity to parliamentary parties to recast German polity. What happened? When Germany lost, it gave opportunity to the people to bring a change in their country, and they wanted to or change the systems of the politics of Germany, and they brought a new parliamentary parties, different parliamentary parties. A national assembly met at Weimar. Weimar is a place in Germany. That's why they called it as Weimar Republic, and established a democratic constitution with a federal structure. What do you mean by federal structure? Federal structure means it's controlled by more than two levels of government. The government is controlled with more than two levels. For example, India is a federal country. We study in politics. That is, for suppose India has, because we call it ourselves as federal country. Why? Because we have three levels of government. That is central government, state government, panchayat raj government. The same way, they brought a federal structure with more than two levels of government. The republic, however, was not received well by its own people because of the terms, its forced terms. Means here, it was not, the people were not happy with the republic because it had a lot of very strict norms or terms which were not liked by the people. Then I told you, after World War One, During after Germany, Austria, Ottoman Empire, and other countries, when they lost the First World War, they had to sign a very humiliating means insulting treaty, and this treaty was signed in France, and that place is called as Versailles, Treaty of Versailles. We can spell as Versailles or Versailles. So it there is a palace in Versailles. The treaty was signed in that palace. So Germany lost. What has Germany lost during World War One? Germany lost its overseas colonies. Overseas colonies means whatever countries it was ruling under its imperialistic rule, like few countries or few regions in Africa, Germany had made as its colony. So it lost all its colonies, a tenth of its population, and even it lost its one tenth of population, 13% of its territories. Even it had some territories which they lost, and they had to part with neighboring countries like France, and England, and other countries. And for example, Rhineland, it's in the western part of Germany. They lost it for France. They had to give it. 75% of its iron and 26% of its coal to France, Poland, Denmark, and Lithuania, right? So it has to part. It had to part with its mines and its natural resources like iron ore and coal. To weaken its powers, the Allied powers demilitarized Germany. Demilitarization means, as I told you, they had to they had to remove all their army like warships, aircrafts, or even the army. They should restrict to a number. They should not form. The reason is why to demilitarize, because again they should not fight a war with any other country. That's why they made it to demilitarize. The war guilt clause forced Germany to pay compensation amounting to 6 billion pounds. 6 billion pounds they had to pay compensation to the Allied forces. The resource-rich Rhineland was occupied by the Allied armies for much of 1920s. 1920s, for many years, they had occupied the part of Germany which was very rich in resources, Rhineland. The effects of the war. The war had a devastating impact on the entire continent, both psychologically and financially. So, after the war, the effect was very bad, and it became a devastating impact on the entire continent. Whole continent was disturbed, both psychologically and financially, because they lost all its economy, they lost all its trade, they lost all its finance, and everything was lost. So again, all the countries had to rebuild again. From being a creditor, Europe became a debtor. Creditor means the European countries used to give loans to others. Now what happened? Europe had to borrow from others. It became reverse. The supporters of Weimar Republic were criticized. The people in Germany, or else any other parts of Europe, whoever supported the Weimar Republic, they were criticized. Soldiers came to be placed soldiers came to be placed above civilians, because because they had fought the war. That's why soldiers were kept placed above the civilians. They were given more value. Aggressive war propaganda and national honor became important. Then, after losing the war, people now the Weimar Republic was supporting and aggressive war propaganda. They were becoming angry because they lost the war, and even about the nation, the patriotism, the national honor became very, very important. The fragile means not strong, breakable. We call the glass piece. It's fragile. Why? Because if it falls down, it will break. The same way, the democracy was very fragile in Germany. The fragile democracy could not survive and led to instability in Europe. It led to instability in Europe. Everywhere, this became a problem. Political radicalism and economic crisis. Political radicalism means political people became violent. They were in the verge of violence and economic crisis. Economy was completely down. So the birth of Weimar Republic and the Sparcist League went hand in hand. These were two organizations in Germany, and when Weimar Republic was started and already the Spartist League was in there, they formed together and they went hand in hand. The Sparcists found the Communist Party of Germany because communism or communist parties were in the rise after the Russian Revolution with the ideologies of Karl Marx and Lenin. So that founded even in Germany the Communist Party. So these two went in hand. The political instability in Germany paved the way for Hitler. Now, Hitler, it paved the way for Hitler. We shall know about who is Hitler, right? Political radicalization was heightened by the economic crisis of 1923. Political radicalization came and it rose to the heights during economic crisis. And you know, from after the World War One, from 1920s to 1930s, we call it as the Great Depression because if it affected whole world's economy. Even America had to face this problem. All the countries had to face this problem because the economy fell down and many banks were closed, many factories were closed, and the market, the prices came down below 50%, but there was no one to buy the goods. That was the situation, and we call it as the Great Depression. So the effect of the depression also came after the World War One. Germany had to pay the war reparations in the form of gold what it had. Gold reserves. Every country will have its gold reserves. As per that only the value of the currency is determined. So gold had to be given. They had to pay the war reparations, which led to depletion of gold reserve. So the gold reserve of the country came down. Hence, Germany refused to pay the war reparations. So France occupied its leading industrial area, Ruhr. Ruhr also is a place in the western part of Germany, and when Germany refused to pay the war reparations, France occupied its areas of Germany. Germany retaliated with printing paper currency recklessly. Then what happened? They started printing the currency notes whichever way they want, and without calculating with their economy or with the gold reserves, they started printing the currency note recklessly and started using in the markets. The value of mark means the name of the currency of Germany. They call it as mark. How we call rupee, they call it as mark. The value of mark collapsed. Prices of goods soared. It went high. There was hyperinflation. Hyperinflation. What do you mean by hyperinflation? The inflation was so much that it went above the levels. Suppose if any person wanted to buy a loaf of bread, means he had to carry boxes of currency notes. Means the price of the value of the mark fell down, but price of the bread went up. Means, like for example, 100 marks one loaf, it went to 10,000 marks. Like that, the inflation happened, by which they had to take cartloads of currency notes to buy goods. So the years of depression, what I was calling you, the Great Depression, between 1924 and 1928 saw some stability, yet it was built on sand. It was not stable, even though they found some stability in these 4 years, but it was not very strong enough to make the country's economy stable. Germany was totally dependent on short term loans, largely from the USA. They were depending on the loans, especially from USA. The support was withdrawn with crash in 1929 of the Wall Street Exchange. Wall Street Exchange is the stock exchange of USA. So when it crashed, the economy fell down and then the support was withdrawn from USA also. The German economy was hit very badly. It led to social unrest. There was a lot of unrest among the people. The middle class and working population were filled with the fear of proletari- proletarianization. What do you mean by that? Proletarianization means what happened. They may lose their jobs, or they may not get the wages, or they cannot live, they cannot survive because of the hyperinflation. How they can live, they cannot survive. That was the unrest among the people. Then what, then people started blaming the Weimar Republic. So what were the defects of the Weimar Republic? Proportional representation. There was no proportional representation. Article 48 gave the powers, president, the powers to impose emergency, suspend civil rights, and rule by decree. So it is almost like a dictatorship. They gave all the powers to the president. These were the defects what the Weimar Republic had done. Now we shall start learning about Hitler. Who was Hitler? His full name was Adolf Hitler. Hitler's rise to power. Hitler was born in Austria, in the neighboring country, Austria, in the year 1889. He earned many medals for bravery in the First World War. The German defeated uh, the German defeat horrified him. Before going to that, Hitler's small thing I would like to share. Hitler's father was one of the customs officers in the bordering areas of Austria. But in the early age of Hitler, that is, maybe he was 8 or 9 years old when his father died with some illness. So Hitler lost his father, and before Hitler, his elder siblings, that is, many brothers and sisters, they died, and only Hitler survived, and a younger sister of Hitler also survived. So they shifted to Germany, and in Germany they had to stay with some of the relatives, and then he studied arts. He had his education in arts. Then he participated, young Hitler, he participated in the First World War, and he had earned many medals for bravery. And when Germany was defeated, that affected him a lot. He got very angry, aggressive. He wanted to do something for the country. So, this is the picture of Hitler, Adolf Hitler. The Treaty of Versailles made him very furious. He got very angry. He joined the German Workers' Party and renamed it as National Socialist German Workers' Party. So he renamed it. This later came to be known as Nazi Party. Nazi Party. He called it as Nazism. And you know what is the symbol of Nazism? The swastik, what we use in our country for the religious purposes. Swastik. Nazism became a mass movement only during the Great Depression. This became a mass movement during Great Depression. The Nazi propaganda stirred hopes for a better future. People felt that they can get a better future. Hitler was a powerful and effective speaker. When he speaks, when he used to give public address, people used to listen to him very, very carefully and interestingly, and they had lot of hopes on him that he can do something for the country. He promised the people a strong nation where all would get employment, and he also promised the people that again Germany will become a strong nation, and he could bring lot of employment. His politics included the significant rituals and spectacle in mass mobilization. And his politics, he included always, whenever he wanted to speak in the public or mass gathering, mobilization, he could bring, people used to come and listen to him. And he had all the military systems very strictly he used to follow. See, in this picture you have, this is the symbol of the Nazism and his army. Hitler understood the significance of rituals and spectacle in mass mobilization. What he understood, if he can gather the people, if he gets the support of the people, mass mobilization, then only he can be powerful. He used the swastika symbol, red banners, pamphlets, and ritualized rounds of applause to great effect during his massive rallies. And in a different way, the claps what the people had to give, even that was trained to the people in what way, in a different variety they should use to applause. Round ritualized rounds of applause means like giving gap and clapping, all those things. So that was made in a different manner, and also he used all these things. And even people, they used to say hail Hitler whenever he used to come out. The people, when they see him, they used to say hail Hitler. Nazi propaganda skillfully projected Hitler as a messiah, a savior. Messiah means like a god, and they gave a propaganda. They almost made him like a savior. Destruction of democracy. On 30th January 1933, Hitler was offered the chancellorship by President Hindenburg. Hindenburg was the president, and Hitler was offered the chancellorship. Chancellorship means like a prime minister. So he was given the chancellorship by President Hindenburg on 30th January 1933. So this is President Hindenburg and Hitler. Hitler achieved the highest position in the cabinet of ministers on 30th January 1933. Hitler now set out to dismantle the structures of democratic rule, and he never liked democracy. So he started slowly removing all the democratic systems in the government and in the country. The fire decree of 28 February 1933 suspended civic rights like freedom of speech, press, and assembly. So he removed few rights of the people like civic rights. No people had any rights. The civil people, civilians, they are not supposed to go against the government. And freedom of speech, nobody can speak. Press, nobody can publish anything. And assembly, they should not form any meetings or organizations. Communists were hurriedly packed off to the newly established concentration camps. What do you mean by concentration camps? It's like a jail, but open jail where they used to keep them. Whoever supported communist, they were sent to concentration camps. They were guarded by the army or the police, and they were kept in concentration camps. All political parties were banned. Special surveillance and security forces were created to control the people and rule with impunity. They had to rule with impunity. All political parties were banned. The famous Enabling Act was passed on 3rd March 1933. See, immediately after he came to power, he changed a lot of laws, rules, regulations. This act gave all powers to Hitler and established dictatorship in Germany. Then President Hindenburg died. Then later, immediately, he took all the powers. He took over and he established a dictatorship in Germany after passing the Enabling Act. Political forces, what they are. See, here, storm troopers, that is the police. They were called as storm troopers. Then Gestapo, these are the secret police. Gestapo, like our intelligence or CID or whatever we call, like that they had Gestapo, and then SS police. He had these three types of police forces. The regular police in green uniform and the SA or the stormtroopers were on the existing police forces. Additional forces were also raised. The Gestapo, the secret state police, the SS, the protection squad, criminal police, and security services, SG. These were all the groups or the organization or branches formed in the police forces. Reconstruction. Now he wanted to reconstruct the nation, rebuild the nation. Economist Jalmar Scat was given the responsibility of economic recovery. One of the great economists, he was given the responsibility of economic recovery. he initiated a state-funded work creation program to ensure full production and full employment. He initiated a state-funded all self-employment schemes and other things were initiated by him. So this is his picture. The famous Autobahn and Volkswagen were the result of this period. During this period, lot of automobile factories were started to create lot of employment in the people. The Nazi worldview. According to Nazi ideology, there was no equality between people, but only racial hierarchy. What do you mean by racial hierarchy? Here, racism was given the first priority in the Hitler's government. Racism means what he said, Germans are the highest race. They are blue-eyed and they belong to the Aryan race and they are the best race in the world and they should be in the higher positions, top positions. So the Nazis began creating an exclusive racial community of pure Germans by physically eliminating those who were considered undesirable. So what happened? Now the pure Germans, they were called as racial community, exclusive racial community, and they started eliminating other community people. Eliminating means almost killing them. They wanted a society of pure Aryans, pure and healthy Nordic Aryans, Jews, Gypsies, blacks, Russians, Poles means the people of Poland, even certain Germans and abnormals. Abnormals means physically handicapped, uh, those who are very much aged, the old age people, and or they were considered as undesirable. They were considered as undesirable. The other aspect of Hitler's ideology related to the geopolitical concept of Lebensraum or living space. And Hitler considered all these undesirable people that they are taking away all the resources like food, water, and then space. They are living and they are disturbing the development of the nation. That was his idea. So Jews were the worst sufferers in Nazi Germany. Hitler believed in pseudo-scientific theories of the race, which said that conversion was no solution to the Jewish problem. It had to be solved through their total elimination because Jews were the rich people and they lived more. They did not have their own country or land. You know from which area they belong to? Jews. Present Israel. From present Israel. Country is there, Israel. Before the world wars, Israel was not there. So that's why these Jews were living in Europe in various countries. But Hitler hated these Jews and he believed that if they get converted also they cannot come to that race. That's why he said that the solution is only total elimination. From 1933 to 1938, the Nazis terrorized, pauperized. Pauperized means totally they looted the Jews and made them like beggars, the rich Jews, and they segregated the Jews, compelling them to leave the country. They forced the Jews to leave the country or face the punishment. The next phase, 1939 to 45, aimed at concentrating them in certain areas and then killing them in gas chambers in Poland. He got constructed gas chambers. He used to arrest all the Jews, take them and push them into a room in a hall, and then they closed all the ventilation and they left some poisonous gas inside, by which the people used to die. Genocide and war became two sides of the same coin. Occupied Poland was divided. Hitler occupied a part of Poland and he used all his punishments and all he used to do in that area. So Poland was divided, and genocide and war. As you know, the Second World War started. Polish were forced to leave their homes and properties behind to be occupied by ethnic Germans brought in from occupied Europe. So any other parts of the Europe from wherever Germans were there, he brought them back and gave them part of Poland to live there, and Polish people were removed from their homes and properties. So, what was the scenario of the youth and women in Germany? Hitler felt that a strong Nazi society could be established by teaching Nazi ideology to the teachers. That is, he made the students or the children, he made them to learn about more of love towards the country, towards the racism, and he made them aggressive by making the schools to teach boxing and other uh, martial arts and other things to the children, and he made them very, very aggressive. All schools were given German teachers. Only the German teachers have to teach. Children were divided into groups like desirable and undesirable. Desirable are the Germans. Undesirable are the other community people. Textbooks were rewritten. Functions of sports in schools was to nurture the spirit of violence and aggression. I told you they should be more violent. That's why he was making the teachers to teach aggressiveness, and for which he gave more importance to sports. 10-year-olds had to enter Jungwok. At 14, all boys joined Hitler Youth. They joined the labor service at 18, like army training, and all the Hitler Youth means they were trained about the warfare, about the aggressiveness, about the boxing, and all these things. Martial arts and all were taught to them, and they were given lot of discipline. See, this is a picture what I collected. The Nazi cult of motherhood. Now, coming to the role of women, this is very important. You will get questions for the exams. Role of women. The boys were taught to be aggressive, masculine, and steel hearted. They should not be soft hearted. They should be very tough. The boys had to be taught by the mothers. Women were told to be good mothers and rare, pure blooded Aryan children. They should have, they should give birth to pure blooded Aryan children. They were encouraged to produce many children. They were told, they were given lot of benefits. They should give birth to many children. That was the idea of Nazism. They were given special treatment in hospitals and also got concessions in shops, theaters, and railways. Many places they were given free tickets in the theaters and railways. and concessions in shops, and they were given free or special treatment in hospital because they are giving birth, and honor crosses were awarded to encourage women to produce more children. For suppose they were given some bronze cross as a medal if they give birth to two or three children. If they give birth to five or six children, they were given silver cross. Like that, they were honored if they produce more children. A bronze cross was given for four children, silver cross for six, and golden cross for eight or more children. If they give birth to eight or more children, they were given golden cross. They had to be the bearers of the Aryan culture and race because Hitler wanted more and more pure German population. So that's why he was encouraging the women, and women were punished if they had any affair or if they marry to other community like Jews and others. The Nazi regime used language and media with care and often to great effect. They used language and media to bring its own propaganda. They used films, pictures, radio, posters, etc. to spread hatred for Jews. So at that time there were no television, so they had to. Radio was very popular all over the world, so they propagated to spread hatred for Jews. They put pictures, posters, etc. See, these are the posters, few of the posters. Nazism worked on the minds of the people, tapped their emotions, and turned their hatred, anger at those marked as undesirable. So even the people started hating the undesirable. Crimes against humanity. People saw the world through Nazi eyes and spoke the Nazi language. At times, even the Jews began to believe in the Nazi stereotypes about them. So, almost it is like brainwashing the people. And all the world also started seeing in the way of how Nazi are following. And initially, they supported also. But later, when they saw the terror of killing the undesirable, and even the Jews started believing the Nazi ideology, but no one supported them. Knowledge about Holocaust. What is Holocaust? How he killed the people, that is called Holocaust. It was only after the war ended that people came to know about what had happened. People never knew. Outside Germany, people did not know how he killed the Jews and how many Jews he killed. He killed more than 6 million Jews. The Jews wanted the world to know about the atrocities and sufferings they had endured during the Nazi killing operation. And the Jews wanted to show the world how they suffered during the Nazi killing operations. They just wanted to live, even if it was for a few hours, to tell the world about the Holocaust. They wanted to show the world how he punished them. So this was the way, and he also uh, arrested all the undesirable. They were taken to the concentration camps, or they were taken to the um, uh, gas chambers. They made all the people to remove all their things, footwear, clothes, and everything. And then they used to put water through water cannons. They used to um washed them, all the people, uh, in a very uh, what do you say, small rooms where only say 50 people can get into inside the room, where he could push 300, 400 people at a time, and then close all the doors, and then people started suffocating, and then they were not getting the oxygen, and then he used to live through pipelines, poisonous gases they used to live inside, and with the suffocation all the people used to die in the gas chambers. And in this way he punished trains of Jews. In the trains he used to transport them to the gas chambers. And all this, the way he killed 6 million Jews, 1 million gypsies, and many other people, even beggars, old age people. And then history says, it was written and there were pictures, that whenever Hitler used to travel in the car, on the way, if he used to see any beggars on the street or road, he used to get them shot. He used to kill them because they were undesirable. Old age people, handicapped people, he used to kill them. He used to make them killed because they are useless for him. So, in that way, he killed more than 10 million people during his rule, his dictatorship. Finally, he lost the war, and then initially he occupied many countries, neighboring countries, nearby countries, and then finally, what happened later? He killed all these people, and after his occupation, everything. Later, he killed these people, and then he could come into power. But after all this evil was seen by the people, then what happened at during those time, he could people could understand in the world, and then he was so confident that he could conquer other countries and he could do anything under his dictatorship. Then suddenly what happened? War started. He waged a war against other people, and finally he lost the war and he had to kill himself. So now, children, I would like you to tell that even though you are watching the videos, even though you are able to understand the video, I want all of you to take out your textbook, read the textbook, underline the key sentences, and make a note, write in your books, notebooks, and then study those points, read the textbook, complete chapter, and then you watch the video. Then you will understand the chapter, because many points would be even not covered completely in the PPTs. So please read the textbook and then go about your other material. Thank you.